Welcome to the most haunted island in Italy. You may have heard about it before, but if not, let me introduce you to the place known as the Screaming Island, or Poveglia. This island is located in the Venice Lagoon and has a history that dates back to the Middle Ages. In 1379, the Venetian government built a lazaretto on the island to quarantine ships coming into the lagoon. These ships would be held here for 40 days to ensure they were free of disease, especially the plague, which had been ravaging Europe at this time. If anyone on board was sick, then they were brought straight to the island to die. No living person was ever allowed back on these boats. In the 18th century, the lazaretto was abandoned and eventually turned into an insane asylum in 1861. This was during the time when Queen Isabella of Austria gave permission for the construction of a new hospital. It was supposed to be a place where the poor could receive treatment, but soon became a dumping ground for those considered dangerous. People suffering from mental disorders, alcoholics, drug addicts, and even criminals were sent here to be forgotten. Conditions in the asylum were terrible. There was overcrowding, understaffing, and patients were often left without food or water. Many died during their stay, and their bodies were left in the hallways, sometimes for months. Over the years, the island fell into disrepair, and the buildings were destroyed by earthquakes and fires. In 1968, it was finally abandoned and now stands in ruins. People claim that there are still ghosts on this island. In 2020, some ghost investigators decided to spend the night here. They set up camp outside because they weren't allowed to go inside the ruined buildings due to safety reasons. It was the middle of summer, and they thought it would be hot enough to keep any ghosts away, but they were wrong. During the night, one of them woke up to the sound of someone screaming in the distance, "Help me." They all agreed it must have been a wild animal, or maybe just the wind. Then they started hearing footsteps near their camp. At first, it sounded like someone walking barefoot, then something dragging metal moans. They couldn't see anything in the darkness. But what they did notice is that the sounds were coming from the main building. They tried to ignore it, but then things started moving. They set up 4 tents next to each other in a line. Then when they arrived, they noticed that 2 of the tents were dragging themselves closer together. And in the morning, they saw that they were actually touching each other. They also found some strange markings carved into the trees nearby. Some looked like faces and others appeared to be pentagrams. Then they went to investigate the main building, which still had a roof over part of it. Inside they found a room with 4 walls covered in writing. Most of it was indecipherable, but they found some interesting things. One message read, "Don't trust anyone," while another said, "Everything will be fine." On another wall, they found what looked like a date written in pencil, but it wasn't anything they recognized. It didn't seem to be in the Latin alphabet either. It was like a foreign language. Then they discovered a book nearby that they opened to find a handwritten note reading, "Here lies the past." They also found an old iron bed with bloodstains on it, and an inscription above that said, "The island eats your mind." Then they checked out other parts of the island. They found a well hidden behind some bushes. According to legend, people were thrown into this well to drown, and near it they found what looked like human bones. However, these were probably animal bones since no proper excavations have ever been done on the island. The Venetian government doesn't allow anyone to do research here. They also checked out an old church on the island and found some writings on the wall. It said, "Save me, and I don't want to die." As the sun set, the team prepared for another night on the island. They decided to set up camp inside the church, thinking that staying in the open might attract unwanted attention. But they quickly realized that this was a big mistake. As soon as it got dark, they started hearing chains dragging metal moans. They were right outside the church. They were too scared to look, though, so stayed huddled in the corner until sunrise. When it was light again, they found some disturbing things. One of the tents had ripped open, and they had found a torn piece of paper inside. It was from a journal kept by a patient in the asylum. The entry read, "Today I met the most wonderful man. He says he can help me. I feel so much better now. I'm ready to go home." The next day's entry started off the same way. "Today I met the most wonderful man. He says he can help me. I feel so much better now." But the rest of it was crossed out. They couldn't make out what it said. They continued reading the journal and found more entries written by the same patient. In the last one it said, "He's here. He calls me by my name. He wants me to come with him. I want to go. I think he can save me. I know he can. He knows my name." It then ended abruptly without a conclusion. It was then they remembered the markings they'd seen in the main building. They went back and sure enough, the word they'd seen was the patient's name. They found several more entries written by different patients in the same journal. The last one read, "The doctors are all dead. Now we are free. Come with me. We'll run away together." The team felt uneasy after reading this, so decided to cut their trip short and leave the island immediately. They searched for the key to the boat, but it was nowhere to be found. They went back to the church and looked around until they saw some steps leading down into the ground. It was a hole dug out with a spoon in the shape of a coffin. Inside was a wooden box, so they opened it to find the key. They returned to the boat and unlocked it. Just as they were about to leave, though, one of the men suddenly stopped and turned around. His face was pale and his eyes wide with fear. He looked at the others and asked, "Why did they bring us here?" Then, in a deep voice, he finished the sentence from the journal. "It knows my name. It wants me to stay here forever." Now, nobody knows what happened to the man. He never returned to his camp and was never seen again. The others ran away as fast as they could and didn't stop until they were far from the island. So what happened to the man? Did he become possessed by the spirit of the island, or was he always meant to stay there? Well, there's only one way to find out. Are you brave enough to visit the Screaming Island and uncover its secrets? Let me know in the comments. Also, please subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Your support keeps this channel alive and lets us bring you even more creepy, mysterious content. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.